I represent the World Data System. My name is Moustapha Mokrane, as Derek introduced me. The World Data System is International Program Office is based in Tokyo, and I really appreciate the effort of accommodating our time zone for this webinar. So, the title of my presentation is Trusted Data Services for Global Science, and I will give a very brief introduction about the history of the World Data System, how it developed in the recent years. Before that, I will just say a few general words regarding the way science and the scientific research endeavor is today. We are all familiar with the concept of data-intensive science. We have been witnessing over the past decades a tremendous increase in technological capacities and computer power, very sophisticated instruments which are really promoting this data-intensive scientific research. At the same time, another movement has emerged in the last decade, promoting the open access to the research data, to scientific research data. Sorry. This movement has gained a lot of steam, and now there is a general understanding, and it is accepted that without a strong open data environment, the promises of the data-intensive science and the advances, the technological advances, will not bear their fruits fully. So in order to really take advantage of all these massive technological advances, we have to promote an open science and an open data environment. So looking a little bit earlier, in fact, the concept of open access to scientific data started in the context of Earth observations, actually in our community here, the Earth observations community. As you can see on this slide, this is an extract from the International Geophysical Year program, which was organized in the late 50s, 1957-58. This is a massive international research program, at least for that period of in history. It was organized by the International Council for Science, the main sponsor organization of the World Data System, but also involving WMO, for example. And as you can see here, IGY, the International Geophysical Year, was promoting already open data for science, and the organizers of this program had a visionary approach to open data by declaring that all observational data shall be available to scientists and scientific institutions in all countries. But not only those organizers of this program were visionaries, but they also take their words into action and promoted the establishment of what was called the World Data Centers. So the World Data Centers were established by the International Council for Science to basically minimize the risk of data loss and also to maximize data accessibility. All the data that was gathered during the International Geophysical Year was preserved for the long term and disseminated through these World Data Centers, which are affiliated with the International Council for Science. 50 years later came another international program, also tens of thousands of scientists involved, hundreds of projects, very much interdisciplinary, involving not only natural sciences but also social sciences and humanities. Again, this program was promoted by the International Council for Science and also the World Meteorological Organization, WMO. So this was in 2007-2008, so we're talking 50 years after IGY. And again, the organizers of this program decided that IPY, the International Polar Year data, including operational data delivered in real time are made available fully, freely, openly, and on the shortest feasible timescale. And it was at that time also stressed that that was essential for ensuring long-term preservation and sustained access. And also behind this we can read reuse and repurposing of those data sets. So these wonderful words worked in the majority of cases, and as you can see here in this cartoon, you can see a scientist holding the data sets on their shoulders, reading this sign, leading them to a data repository. So I would say that from the IPY data projects, most of them were funded through, supported by very well-funded research programs, and data sets ended up in sustainable data repositories. But in fact, if we look at the distribution of those research data generated by IPY, we look at the distribution of this data against their fitness for use, as you can see here on this very simple diagram, the yellow part is the data fit for purpose, but the total volume is limited, and these data sets ended up in proper long-term sustainable data centers. They're managed, they're open, and they're reusable. In the green part, which is a significant part as well, these data sets really are not really managed. They're somewhat managed. They're available in repositories where sustainability is not 100% guaranteed, and the quality of those data sets in terms of standards and the possibility for reuse and repurposing can be quite low. And then you have this, the third part, the gray part here of the diagram, which is massive, and that's why I used a dinosaur here, because actually this is quite a prehistoric image. We want to get rid of this big chunk of data that is unmanaged and closed. It's basically sitting in desktop computers in labs. It's sometimes on memory sticks, what have you. So we want those unmanaged and closed data sets, which we call now euphemistically the long tail, the messy long tail of the research data, to join the green part or the yellow part of the diagram. And this is something that the World Data System is trying to really play a role in. And I will give a little bit more explanations further on. So as you can see with these very general slides explaining the backdrop of the development of WDS, there is also a recognition that there is a need for international coordination. And I think I don't have to try and convince you, because if you're associated with the Iron Earth community, you're probably part of those who are already convinced of this. So here I've added a number of logos just to basically have a ground to what I'm going to say. The International Council for Science, which is a sponsor organization of World Data System, sponsors research programs. I've illustrated two of those research programs, the International Polar Year and before that the International Geophysical Year. But it's also sponsoring now a flagship program called Future Earth, and maybe some of you have heard about this Future Earth program. This is also trying to address the global sustainability challenges. It is multidisciplinary, or rather transdisciplinary, and also trying to integrate across various domains, integrate data sets, integrate research, and have a more holistic approach to global sustainability research. So there is a need to provide data management support, address data challenges around this new way of doing research. You are also familiar probably with GEO, the Group on Earth Observations. This is an intergovernmental initiative which emerged also to help provide a framework for integrating data and in particular Earth observation data across domains to serve the societal benefit areas, as they are called in the GEO framework. And you can see here the parallel between GEO and Future Earth, and WDS is following exactly the same developments in terms of trying to promote integration of data sets across disciplines to serve this new type of research. You will see here also two other logos. One is for the ICSU CODATA. This is our sister organization under the ICSU umbrella, under the International Council for Science. The Committee on Data for Science and Technology helps research programs address data management issues, but at the policy level. So we're working together with ICSU CODATA to basically support programs such as Future Earth. And there is also a new player now in the context of the international coordination called the Research Data Alliance. This is the last logo at the bottom left of my slide. And this is an international organization also, but focusing on the technological aspects and trying to solve technological issues around interoperability and which is really important in the context of data integration. One more slide to re-emphasize again why WDS and why the need for international collaboration is, as I said earlier, in the context of Future Earth, now research is more integrated and also co-designed with other partners. It involves the civil society, it involves policymakers. So we're not in our ivory tower doing scientific research. We have to develop the research agenda and do the research talking with all the other stakeholders. So on this diagram, you can see that programs like Future Earth rely on existing data sets, and thankfully we have the World Data Centers and many others who are doing long-term preservation to make sure that data sets generated 50 years ago are still available. But they need also existing knowledge which was derived from those data sets, publications, what have you. And we also need new observations, and this is the role of organizations like GEO to promote new space-based but also in situ observations of the Earth. And we need models. So all models which are now available through supercomputers and a lot of computing capacity available to us. And the integration of all these different dimensions is now the roadblock, if you will, and this is what we need to try and address step by step through improvement of quality of data, of research data. So coming to WDS now, a little bit of explanation about the program. So after telling you all of the historical background and why WDS and other international organizations have emerged. So WDS was established in October 2008. As I said, it is an interdisciplinary body of the International Council for Science. So we were established by the ICSU General Assembly as an interdisciplinary body. The remit that was set for WDS as an interdisciplinary body of ICSU is to enable universal and equitable access to quality assured scientific data, data services, products, and information. I've highlighted quality assured because this is really a niche for WDS, because we consider that having data is not enough, it has to be fit for purpose. So quality assurance is an important aspect. The second remit for WDS is to promote long-term data stewardship, and this is also based on and building on the legacy of the World Data Centers, which I described earlier, those data centers that emerged after the International Geophysical Year. The third goal that was set for WDS is to foster compliance to agreed upon data standards and conventions. Again, here, in terms of reuse and repurposing of data, of research data, we need some level of compliance with standards to enable reuse and repurposing. And finally, the last goal that was set to WDS is to provide mechanisms to facilitate and improve access to data and data products. So we're trying to address all of these goals that were given to WDS by the International Council for Science, and I will give you some examples now during the 10-15 minutes left about how we're trying to address these. WDS is governed by a scientific committee. The new incarnation of this committee for the 2015-18 period is in front of you on this slide. You can see it's a very international group, multidisciplinary group. You cannot see here their disciplines, but I can tell you they cover natural science, from natural sciences to social sciences. And I can add also that it's a gender balanced group, and we're quite proud of the fact that it is a gender balanced. This scientific committee has established a number of strategic targets to address the goals I've described before, and they did so by publishing a strategic plan for the period 2014-2018. We have 5 strategic targets under this strategic plan. The first one is to make trusted data services an integral part of international collaborative scientific research. I think you can understand from what I said before about the international research programs that at the heart of these research programs you have and you need to have reliable data management, you need to have compliance, and a critical step for this is to engage those data services from the outset. It's part of the co-design and the co-production of research. You cannot expect this to happen at the end of the research cycle. It has to be at the beginning, from the very outset. The second strategic target is to nurture disciplinary and multidisciplinary scientific data communities. This is also an important and a prerequisite for ensuring that data management in specific domains is happening. You need to have strong communities to support those data services to ensure that they are funded. And this is a good transition to our third strategic target, which is to improve the funding environment for data services. So you see how these things are interconnected. So WDS is working with research funders to try and make sure that the dollars or any other currency are available to fund data management, long-term preservation for the research. Because there's no point funding research if at the end of the research project those data sets are lost or are available in a non-reusable format. The fourth strategic target under the strategic plan is to improve the trust and quality of open scientific data services. This is linked to compliance with data standards, but not only that, it is linked to a certification of data repositories, and I will explain this also in a later slide. And the last strategic target is to position WDS as the premium global multidisciplinary network for quality assessed scientific research data, basically addressing the needs or trying to address the needs together with our partners to address the needs of those international research programs, the data needs of those international research programs. So, who are the members of WDS? WDS is a membership organization, and our members are scientific data services involved in all the steps of the data life cycle, in the capture, the storage, the curation, the long-term preservation, discovery, access, retrieval, all of the steps of the data life cycle. To give you a very brief an idea of our membership. This is just an extract of the most recent members who joined WDS. So as you can see, we have a number of what we call regular members, we have a number of network members, and also partners and associates. But the keyword, the take-home message, is that they are multidisciplinary and international. So they cover, some of them here cover socioeconomic data, others social sciences and humanities, and you have geophysics, solar terrestrial physics. So it's really multidisciplinary. I mentioned earlier that to improve the trust and quality of open data, we need also to address some kind of certification for data repositories. And this is something that the scientific committee established from day one, or at least decided to establish from day one. The scientific committee agreed that members of WDS need to be certified periodically and to be reviewed against a number of criteria based on international standards and best practices. I will not go into the details of these criteria, but if you have questions, I have a slide at the end and I can go into a little bit more details. WDS membership today, as of January 2016, we have 60 regular members. So these are your typical data center, data analysis service organization for research, serving research. We have 10 network members, and these are umbrella umbrella bodies representing data stewardship organizations, and these regular members and network members are certified against the criteria I mentioned earlier. Our partners and associates are supporting our endeavor, but they're not certified as data providers or data holders. Geographic distribution of WDS members. As you can see, we have a global footprint, especially through our network members. Our regular members are we still have a bias in terms of their geographical presence, but we're working hard to try and improve membership, and especially in Africa and Latin America. This is my almost final slide, just to tell you that one of the instruments by which WDS advances its strategic targets is to establish working groups. And we do this we try to do this in an intelligent way, trying to avoid reinventing the wheel and trying to engage partners who are already involved in such activities. So here is a list in front of you and on this slide of the current working groups we have. We have a number of working groups working on publishing data and addressing very specific issues like workflows for publishing data or bibliometrics for publishing data, cost recovery for data repositories, and also working on operationalizing also some of the data publishing services. So we have a number of collaborations with partners here to establish live services for publishing data. We have also a working group which is rather internal to WDS, but it is relevant to the GNON activity, to the global network of network, which is addressing a metadata catalog for WDS holdings and also trying to build a knowledge network. This is a more long-term activity, and we're making some progress with it, and we hope to reconnect also with the GNON community in terms of reaching out when appropriate. We have also one working group working on certification, and here in particular we're collaborating with a similar certification, core certification schema called the Data Seal of Approval, and we're currently under the umbrella of the Research Data Alliance merging our two certification standards, and we're hoping to come up with a universal core certification for data repositories. And the final working group I will mention here is one we're working with DataCite. Some of you might be familiar with DataCite, and also Read3Data, which is a registry of data repositories. And the hope here is that we can establish a global registry of trusted data services, which will again serve and support those international research programs. My final slide is a little bit of publicity. Together with CoData and the Research Data Alliance, we're hosting what we hope will be the biggest data event ever organized on Earth. We're calling it very humbly International Data Week. It will take place in Denver, Colorado next September from the 12th to the 16th. And it will have three components. It will have a research conference called SciDataCon, and you can see at the bottom of the slide the URL for this conference. There is an open call for sessions. It is the deadline for this call for sessions is 14th of February. So we invite the community here, the Iron Earth and GNON community, to look at this very good opportunity to highlight their data activities. The theme of the conference is Advancing the Frontiers of Data in Research. The second component of this International Data Week will be a one-day International Data Forum, and we're hoping here to engage. It will be a multi-stakeholder event. We're hoping to engage policymakers, the private sector, civil society. So we're trying to really raise the profile of data and research across the many stakeholders. And the last part will be a Research Data Alliance plenary meeting. This is kind of a working meeting for the Research Data Alliance organization. Thank you very much for your attention. You can see here the photo credits for the resources I used in my slides.